Yeah. Yeah. Just walked in the door. Right. Okay, we have a quorum. I call the order meeting of Transportation Agency of Monterey County, December 4th, 2020. We have a roll call.
District 1, Supervisor Alejo.
Linda Gonzalez, alternate.
District 2, Supervisor Church.
Leonie Gray, alternate.
District 3, Supervisor Lopez.
Philip Barba, alternate.
District 4, Supervisor Askew.
Yuri Anderson, alternate.
District 5, Supervisor Adams.
Alternate Cookie.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Here.
City of Del Rio.
Here.
City of Gonzalez.
Here.
City of Greenfield. City of King City.
Present.
City of Marina.
Here.
City of Monterey.
Here.
City of Pacific Grove.
Here.
City of Salinas. City of Sand City.
Here.
City of Seaside. City of Soledad. Ambac.
Here.
Caltrans District 5. Here. Monterey Bay Air Resource District. Monterey Regional Airport District.
Here.
Monterey Salinas Transit.
Good morning, I'm here.
City of Watsonville. CSUMB.
Present.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. We begin. The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, first item of business and public comment is an opportunity for any member of the public to comment on an item that is not on today's agenda. You should have an invitation on that testimony. I'd like to state your name for the record. Everybody wishing to speak. See a hand raised, ending in 837. Is that right?
Yeah.
837, you have the floor. 837. Eight, 3, 7. They're unmuted. 837, let's go. Just okay. Let's go. 837. All right, let's go to 705. Lauren.
Hello. Hello.
Hello, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Please don't unmute me. Good morning, TAMC members. You are one of the most important boards in the world. Why? Because a board directed to get us out of our cars and onto mass transit alternatives. In doing this, you could help thwart the global warming crisis we all face. So instead of saying a carpool program and a carpool lane and a train isn't possible, determine yourselves to make it possible. You've had 10 years to make it possible. You've had 10 years to bring back the train, 10 years to lessen Highway 68 traffic congestion. So why is our traffic worse than ever? And why is a solution to our traffic problems only a surf project that will actually slow down any possibility of bringing back the train? You know, recently I read an account of a man who didn't believe in God, but he had healing power. And so he was able to heal people, and he couldn't understand why. So what he said is that this energy of love is in all of us. And the more we practice it, that goodness, the more we connect with the divine, whatever that is. And so you have the possibility of bringing back mass transit to this area that people want to use. And you have the ability to say to the powers that be, we have the most important sanctuary in the world that feeds all the world's marine life once a year with the phytoplankton bloom that it has here. And therefore, yes, we deserve the infrastructure money that Biden has provided to bring back mass transit. So please use your God energy, whatever that is, to do just that. That's what your purpose on this board is. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren. 7:05, you have the floor. I'm sorry, 837. 837.
Hi, this is Brian Rosen. I just wanted to say that, I was looking at rails on the internet, like in Romania, for example, they have a steam train. And boy, does that run, those tracks look a lot worse. They appear a lot worse than the tracks going through on the branch line through the state park. And they probably haven't been maintained in 50, 60 years very much. I know that, the consultants and people that, they're going to say everything has to be replaced because they want to make money. There's so much corruption, in this country, and they want to study things to death because these groups, the same groups that study them, want the contract. And I really would like to suggest that you work with the Train Riders Association of California because they know how to, resume rail lines at a much lower cost, such as private railroads do when they fix up maybe some of the tracks. It doesn't have to cost $150 million a mile, which is what MST's Lisa Reinheimer told the Monterey County Weekly. You're going to spend maybe $100 million, certainly $90 million on the SURF project to bypass about 4 miles of actual freeway flow. And then you have all the traffic congestion all the way from Carmel to Castroville and beyond that's going to stay the same. And, you're going to have 83,000 or so people on peak days on the highway vehicles, per day, versus maybe getting 1,000 or so on the bus, or maybe 1,500 if you're lucky. It's just going to have a minimal impact at a very high cost. And, the public doesn't want it. The public wants rail, but you don't seem to care. You're the power elite. And, state law allows high density development near transit lines. I think that has a lot to do with it. But I think that you need to be respectful, I think, of the public and poll them instead of just telling them what, they have to have and making promises and breaking them. And that's not good. And so.
Time is up. Is there anybody else in public wishing to speak today?
Yes. Dwight Stump. Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
First, I want to thank the board for your vote in October to fund the installation of AI adaptive signal controls at all 9 intersections on Highway 68. So what has Caltrans done since that decision? Has TAMC staff or the board received detailed reports on how the Measure X funds are best being used? I saw nothing on the agenda. It was stated that Caltrans would require 6 to 12 months to do design for the installation. The logical first step is to select the vendor and product that will be used and then do the design so you know what you are designing it for. At least one of the systems being considered requires no in-ground wiring or conduits or additional pole structures since it uses existing intersection hardware. So what exactly is Caltrans designing and why is it taking so long? Caltrans engineers have been evaluating AI adaptive systems for Highway 68 since last December, so they should be ready to decide which system is best suited for this specific application, as noted in the emails that I sent to you on Monday. The second critical step that Caltrans needs to define is how they will objectively and transparently document the current traffic data along this corridor so they can accurately measure the effect that the adaptive system has during the different traffic situations. This will establish a before and after benchmark by which all other alternatives, including roundabouts, will be measured and evaluated. I trust the board will receive at least monthly reports from Caltrans on exactly what is being done on this project and how decisions are being made to use Measure X funds wisely. The public deserves the best system installed ASAP. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dwight. Appreciate it. Is there anybody else?
Yes, Barry Jones here. Can I have a couple of minutes?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. So I fully endorse and support obviously what Dwight has said in detail there about not having any information. But my angle is very much to thank you on behalf of Pasadena homeowners and the owners of the club at Pasadena to formally thank you for your unanimous agreement at the last board meeting to provide the 500K for the signal project. This is seen here as a welcome and very positive move by the board members to reduce congestion along the whole corridor. However, it's fully 6 weeks since that decision was taken, and we're very disappointed there's not an item on this meeting's agenda to provide the update that on what TAMC and Caltrans have done since then. As a board, I believe that at this meeting, you would have at least expected to receive an outline plan of action detailing activities to be carried out, including vendor contractor selection together with a proposed installation schedule, just as a minimum. It was clear that many of the board members were particularly keen to get the project funded and implemented along all 9 intersections as soon as possible, and thus I believe they will want to have regular updates. Several also seem to share my and others' concerns about the length of time that TAMC staff and Caltrans was saying that it would take to get this project installed. I therefore hope that today, as an action, perhaps members Glenn Church or Ian Ogilvie or Mary Adams would propose a motion that TAMC staff and Caltrans provide an update at each future board meeting to ensure that progress is made in order to get traffic congestion relief as soon as possible. Finally, I would like to also point out that it has not gone unnoticed by the public, press and businesses that the board decided to fund this project in its entirety out of Measure X funding. This is deemed to be a very good use of the funds, of course, and consequently, there is a high expectation that the TAMC board now will be very focused to drive a rapid implementation of the adaptive system. Thanks again for your consideration.
Thank you very appreciate the testimony. Is there anybody else wishing to speak today? We don't see anybody. All right, that'll close comment period. We'll bring it back to council for the consent calendar. The consent calendar says 3.1.1 to 3.7.2. Is there anybody in the council wishing to pull an item? Don't see anybody. Is there anybody in the public wishing to pull an item? See anybody, we'll bring back to council. Back to the board. Board, your reference on the consent calendar. Motion to approve would be appreciated.
So good. Approval.
Second. Motion and second. Is there any discussion? Could we get a roll call, please?
District 1, alternate Gonzalez.
Aye.
District 2, alternate Gray.
Aye.
District 3, alternate Barba.
Yes.
District 4, alternate Anderson.
Yes.
District 5, alternate Courtney.
Aye.
City of Carmel by the Sea.
Aye.
City of Del Reyes.
Aye.
City of Gonzalez.
Aye.
City of Greenfield.
Yes.
City of King City.
Aye.
City of Marina.
Yes.
City of Monterey.
Aye.
City of Pacific Grove.
Aye.
City of Salinas.
Aye.
City of Sand City.
Aye.
City of Seaside. Chair, the motion passes.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to item number 4, which is the certificate of appreciation now. Going board members, Mary Ann and Dave.
Well, it's thank you, Dave. It's a little, it is unfortunate that the Board of Supervisors had to extend their meeting to today. So we have their alternates here, we appreciate, but Mary's not here to accept the certificate. But if I may, I'll just read it through.
Sure.
So we can have another update. Certificate of appreciation for the Honorable Mary Adams, District 5 Supervisor. Whereas Supervisor Adams was elected in 2016 for a second term and a second term in 2021 as the 5th District Supervisor of Monterey County. And whereas Supervisor Adams served on the Board of Directors of the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, including the Executive Committee and the Rail Policy Committee for nearly 8 years, and from January 2017 through December 2024. And whereas Supervisor Adams served as the Transportation Agency Chair in 2022. And whereas Supervisor Adams worked closely with county, Caltrans, and other transportation officials on safety improvements on Highway 1 and with CHP and law enforcement to meet local needs around road issues and traffic concerns. Now therefore be it declared on this 4th day of December 2024 that the Transportation Agency of Monterey County sincerely appreciates Board Member and past Chair Mary Adams' 8 years of dedicated work to improve regional transportation throughout Monterey County.
Excellent.
All right, and for Dave here, kind of surprised to fit on one page. This certificate of appreciation for the Honorable Dave Potter, Mayor, City of Carmel by the Sea. Whereas Mayor Dave Potter has served on the Transportation Agency of Monterey County's Board of Directors and the Rail Policy Committee as an outspoken advocate for implementing new rail service in the County of Monterey since 1993. And whereas Mayor Potter first joined TAMC in 1993 while serving on the Monterey City Council. Whereas Mayor Potter, while serving on the Monterey County Board of Supervisors as District 5 Supervisor from 1996 through 2016, was a key participant in negotiating the successful acquisition of the 13-mile Monterey Branch Line Rail right-of-way from Union Pacific in 2023. And whereas since 2018, Mayor Potter has represented the City of Carmel by the Sea, California. And whereas Mayor Potter served as the TAMC Board Chair in 1994, 1995, and 2008, and the Rail Policy Committee Chair from 2001 through 2016. And whereas Mayor Potter advocated for the expansion of intercity rail service between San Francisco and Los Angeles and as the chair of the Coast Rail Coordinating Council for over 30 years. Whereas Mayor Potter has been a tireless champion of expanding passenger rail service in the Monterey Bay Area, representing Monterey County, the Transportation Agency for Monterey County, and the Coast Rail Coordinating Council at the state and federal levels to seek and secure funding for rail projects in the region. Now, therefore, be declared on this 4th day of December that the Transportation Agency of Monterey County sincerely appreciates the work of Mayor Potter for his 31 years of dedicated work to improving regional transportation throughout Monterey County. Thank you. And we came up with 2 of the past pictures. Dave as the chair from 2008 and 1994-95. So, thank you, Dave.
Let's get an afterthought.
Right.
And he's a damn good hockey player.
This is one assignment I will miss, honestly. I'm proud of my service here and I really appreciate the recognition. Thank you so much. It's one of the organizations that I think really makes a difference. I really thank you all for the sincere appreciation. Thank you. All right, why don't we then move on then? Thank you. Public, does anybody in the public want to comment? 837, Ryan.
Hi, Brian Rosen here. You know, I'm not saying that Mary Adams hasn't done some good, but I don't see how we can give recognition to somebody who is supporting this very environmentally destructive surf project to the second most important dune complex in California. This is definitely a stain, and the public doesn't want this project. Mayor Potter, he went out in resounding defeat in Carmel, and I think it's because he supported the destructive surf project, which the people are very against. I appreciate good work he's done in the past, but it sounds like he kind of went along with the pressure to do this horrendous development. So I question, I wish them well. They've done good, but I question whether they really deserve these honors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian, for your comments. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Lorna, the floor is yours. Lorna Moffett, the floor is yours. 7:05.
Yes, I second what Mr. Rosen just said. I've always, in the past, when Dave Potter was a supervisor, he was just marvelous with working with us and getting some environmental things done. But I don't know. I think the pressures of maybe the oil industry that is infiltrating every form of government around the world, and there's a report on that recently, what's going on. Maybe the pressures are just too much for everyone. But I say, if you can't do it, then don't be in a position of power. So, Dave, I wish you well, but I wish you had brought on the impossible instead of the impossible surf project. I wish that all of you had instead said, no, we're going to have a carpool lane like Santa Rosa and other cities are doing, and we're going to bring back the train, and your determination would do that. And instead, we have a bay that is dying. If you come here and look, most of the days it's black now with algae, and it's heated up to 12 degrees, record heats, and that brings on the hurricanes, and it brings on the strong winds, and it brings on all the bad weather that we are now experiencing. And I have to say, this group of government could do something more than you are doing. So stop this consulting and all this type of thing and get on with the train. It's $1 million a mile, according to the train transportation people, to fix this tracks and can the surf project. That would be a great thing to do for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorna. Is anybody else wishing to speak today? All right, see nobody, close public comment period, and move
Sure.
it, then.
Can I make a couple
Oh,
comments
sure,
before I
go
move
ahead.
on? Because one is, I do want to make sure that Supervisor Adams understands the time that I got to work next to her, how much I learned from her. Being new to the elected position, I really relied on everyone else who's been doing this for a while. And Dave, I would be remiss not to mention the fact that King City was able to move their rail project forward. If it was not for your mentorship and your ability to help me understand what this process looks like, and bringing me into the Coast Rail Coordinating Council, helping King City secure a seat onto the rail policy. Those things have a long-lasting effect, and it should be part of your legacy as well, because that was part of your vision of getting the corridor more active and more usable for passenger rail. So I would really, really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate your support too. You've been great to work with. Thank you. Okay, is there anybody else? Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I've known Dave a long time with me being an employee in the city of Monterey. And when I was much younger, and it's great to see that Dave doesn't age much. He just keeps going. And as we got to hear the whereases and the appreciation, I connect with a lot of that. I see that, and I think the public really truly appreciates all of your efforts, and in a variety of ways. And you're never one of those folks that just showed up at a board meeting and walked away and did your one-offs and then walked away. But you actually truly believed in this board, believed in its mission, and believed in all of its initiatives on the rail and every other initiative that TAMC has had for over 30 years. And I remember when you were a city council member, when I was a city employee, and my gosh, you always made good decisions. You were always connected with the public, and you always had the skill set to be able to listen and to find the mutual purposes among all groups to be able to advance public policy. And so much of what I was able to do was see how you worked as a city council member and as a board supervisor, and then as a mayor of Carmel. And certainly your leadership is much appreciated for this board and across the peninsula. Thank you very much, and you enjoy your retirement. You have deserved every bit of the accolades you get to slow down and do whatever you want to do on any of the Wednesdays that you would likewise be in a TAMC meeting. We appreciate your service.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the comments. Very nice. All righty. Thanks. Bruce.
I just want to say thank you, Dave. Public service can be a marathon if you stick with it. Every project can be a marathon. And when I started in 2000, you were already a seasoned veteran, and I admired and watched how you went through the coastal commission realm and city council and mayor's realm and transportation realm, and your championship of rail issues in particular was always, I've always appreciated that. And I just have a lot of thanks to you and the memories I'll have of your leadership in our community.
Thank you, Bruce. Appreciate it. All righty. So, Scott.
Yeah, Dave, you know how I feel about you. And I just really have enjoyed spending time with you. It's been an honor and a pleasure being a fellow mayor, serving with you. Thank you for your decades of selfless service. And I just look forward to spending some more time with you in the future.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it. All right.
Yes, I just want to thank you, Dave, for your leadership and friendship, and for everything that you've done on all the boards and commissions that you've spent your time over the last 30 years. I've heard from my last mayor, Dave Pendergrass, what a good friend that you have been to our city, the city of Sam City. You're thorough, you're thoughtful, and you put in a lot of time and dedication into all your decisions. And I just want to once again just say thank you. You're always welcome we'll always have the door open at Sand City whenever you want to come. I should have actually brought a key to the city today. But that may be coming. So just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I don't know how the public feels. Public has different thoughts, and that's okay. Everyone has their opinion, but to know you is to love you, and congratulations and good luck in your retirement. And I know we'll still be seeing you around.
Thank you, Marion. Appreciate it. You guys are great, honestly. Really appreciate it. Thank you. All right, let's try to move on then. Move on then to item number 5, which is the 2006, 26 with the regional transportation plan project list and the financial assumptions are for your update. Amelia, I believe you have the floor.
Yes.
Good morning, Chair and board members. My name is Amelia Conlon. I'm a senior planner with the Transportation Agency, and I'm here to present to you today on the 2026 Regional Transportation Plan update and draft project list. And this is my first presentation to you on this topic. I'm taking over as project manager for Alyssa Guter, who has led the project up to this point. The Regional Transportation Plan will be coming back to you for discussion at several milestone points between now and June 2026, when the plan is scheduled for adoption. The purpose of this presentation is to provide an overview of the planning process and timeline, and to get your input on the project list and financial assumptions for the 2026 plan. We'll be coming back to you in January for final approval of the project list and financial assumptions. The Regional Transportation Plan is a long-range planning document that provides a foundation for funding priorities over the next 20 years and serves as a basis for allocations of state and federal funding. The plan supports state, regional, and local goals, from supporting economic growth to achieving environmental goals and promoting public health and social equity. The Regional Transportation Plan is part of a regional effort, as our plan gets combined with the plans from San Benito County and Santa Cruz County into the Metropolitan Transportation Plan and Sustainable Community Strategy, which are produced by AMBAG per federal requirements. So here is a graphic to illustrate the planning process. The transportation agency estimates available funding through the integrated funding strategy, which is a 5-year plan that is updated annually. That information is rolled up into the regional transportation plan, which is then included in AMBAG's metropolitan transportation. There are 3 required elements for the regional transportation plan. The policy element was approved by this board in April 2024 with board recommended changes. And today we'll be focusing on the financial element and the action. So I'll provide a little overview of the policy element. The policy element describes transportation issues in the region, identifies and quantifies regional needs, and describes the desired short-range and long-range transportation goals, objectives, and performance measures. The policy element must be consistent with the funding estimates in the financial. The policy goals of the Regional Transportation Plan are consistent with those identified in AMBAG's Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the California Transportation Plan. The focus of the policy element goals are an emphasis on geographic equity and consideration of disadvantaged communities, the integration of public health and health equity, and goals to prioritize combating climate change, including a focus on climate leadership and a climate investment framework. So the second required component of the regional transportation plan is the financial element. The financial element summarizes the cost of planned implementation based on a realistic projection of available revenues. The financial element shall also contain recommendations for allocation of funds. The transportation agency is responsible for recommending projects to be with regional funds. And the first 5 years of the financial element must be based on the 5-year estimate of funds developed through the integrated funding strategy. So here is a diagram of projected revenues by funding source, with 45% of revenues being local funds, including Measure X. Federal guidance allows the agency to identify revenues that we could reasonably expect to be available over the 20-year horizon of the plan, which could include a replacement to the gas tax, such as a vehicle miles traveled. Current revenue assumptions show an estimated $7.27 billion over the 20+ year lifespan of the plan. The third required component of the plan is the action element, which describes the programs and actions necessary to implement the plan and assigns implementation responsibilities. The action element describes all transportation projects proposed for development during the 20-year life of the plan. And the core of the action element is the project list. So any project that any city or any jurisdiction in Monterey County anticipates pursuing or receiving funding for, state or federal funding, must be included in the Regional Transportation Plan project list. So throughout the plan, projects are referenced in 2 primary ways. The first is non-regional or local projects, and the second is regionally significant projects, such as projects that are identified in Measure X. And the projects are also divided between those that are financially constrained and unconstrained. Projects on the constrained list include those that are financially feasible, those that have committed or programmed funds, and those that we can reasonably anticipate receiving funding, such as through grant programs. Projects identified on the unconstrained list do not have any programmed or committed funds and are not likely to receive funding within the 20+ year timeframe of the regional plan. So today I'm going to highlight proposed changes to the regionally significant projects on our constrained and unconstrained list as they compare to TAMC's 2022 plan. So first, we have the constrained project list. There are no new projects on the fiscal constrained regionally significant project list, and there is one project that is no longer moving forward and has been removed. So here are a few of the projects on the regionally significant constrained project list. We've got the State Route 218 Operational Improvements Project, the Scenic Route 68 Corridor Improvements Project, and the US 101 South Salinas Improvement Project, as well as rail extension to Monterey County, which is divided up into a few phases. The King City roundabout at US 101 and Broadway, and the Fort Ward Regional Trail and Greenway. And the one project that has been removed from the constrained list is the State Route 156 Expressway conversion, which has been moved from the constrained to the unconstrained list. We are no longer pursuing tolling for this project, and it does not have any identified funds. So it's not that this project is not a priority, it just doesn't have any funds identified at this time. So next up is the unconstrained regionally significant list. Again, there are no new projects added to this list, but there are several projects that are not being pursued by their jurisdictions and are being removed. One of the projects on the regionally significant unconstrained list is the State Route 1 Elkhorn Slough Improvement Project. This is between Casterville and Salinas Road, and this came out of an AMBAG planning process. Around the Bay Rail is also on the unconstrained list, along with the State Route 156 Expressway conversion that I just mentioned. And here are the projects that are being removed from the unconstrained list. The first is the Salinas River Bridge Replacement Project Phase 2, which is actually being combined with Monterey Branch Line Rail Project. So this is a reorganization rather than a removal. And the cities of Salinas and Soledad are no longer moving forward with the other two projects, the Salinas West Side Bypass Project and the US 101 Camphora Interchange outside of Soledad. So here is the overall funding summary. About half of the funds on the constrained list are identified for highways and roadways, and about a third of the funds are identified for public transit and active transportation. But I do want to point out that while only 6% of funds are identified here for active transportation, bicycle and pedestrian projects do show up in the project list in other ways. That includes regional projects like the Fort Ward Trail and Greenway. That includes bike and pedestrian projects that are elements of regional projects, such as the State Route 156 interchange, Casterville Boulevard Interchange Project, which has bicycle and pedestrian components, and projects that each of the jurisdictions identify for their project lists. So each city has bike and pedestrian projects that they identify on their project lists. So the next steps for the Regional Transportation Plan, in 2024, this board adopted the policy outlines, goals and objectives, and staff has updated the project lists and the financial projections. We're here today to get your feedback on the project list, and we expect to return in January to request adoption of the project list and financial assumptions. And then we'll return to you next December with a draft of the Regional Transportation Plan and open up for public comment on the draft plan. And then we'll return in June 2026 with the final Regional Transportation Plan and request adoption of the CEQA findings and the EIR, which are being prepared by AMBAG. So with that, the recommended action is that you receive this update and provide any input on the draft project list and financial assumptions. And that concludes my presentation, and I welcome any questions or comments.
Thank you, Amelia. Are there any questions of Amelia from the board members at this time? Questions? Scott?
Yeah, thank you for your presentation. On the 218 improvement project, can you remind me what those improvements entail?
I might lean on my other staff members for details on the project.
There was a quarter study that was produced a few years ago that had a series of improvements throughout the corridor from Highway 1 to 68. So there were numerous improvements, including things like realigning the lanes through Seaside that were recommended as part of the corridor study. And that's what was represented there. So it's quite a few multiple modifications throughout the corridor.
But the majority of it happened in Seaside, or is it all also the Del Rio?
There's both. The majority of it is in Seaside. There's also Del Rio.
Okay.
There's not nearly as much with the Del Rio because the lanes don't change.
And also, one of the things, Todd, you and I have talked about is the southbound roads project. Would that be something that would be planned for the next cycle of projects? And essentially, how would that work?
No, that would be included in this cycle. That would be with the communication between TAMC staff and the city staff to get projects like that and incorporate. Amelia provided just examples of projects, but there are actually dozens, if not hundreds of projects in the plan. So it wasn't appropriate to go through every single project proposed by each city, but the South Boundary Road is an example of a project that would be listed. And the question would be whether it's considered a regionally significant project or not. And that's really just a technical decision versus a principal decision.
And that argument then on, the regional aspect of it, when does that take place?
That happens right now at the staff level, whether you list the project individually or it gets grouped with other local projects.
Okay, and input on that, in terms of Delray Oaks input?
Delray Oaks staff has been, I actually don't know whether they've responded directly, but they've been reached out to.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any questions? Bruce?
Yeah, two of the many projects on the list for 2026 are the Davis Road Bridge Replacement and the Imgen Parkway. So these are very large projects, and in 2026, they have less than $100,000 assigned to them, allocated to them. So is that because there's only a little bit of money that has to be allocated to them every year once they've gotten a big slug of money and construction is well underway?
Actually, once construction is done, then they get dropped off. Once it's completed construction, they'll get dropped off the list. But projects that haven't been completed remain until they're done.
Okay, so with these, $30-40 million projects that only have 70,000 going to them from TAMC in 2026, is that because they're in the later stages of funding and they only need this little bit for TAMC's contribution?
I'm actually not familiar enough with that individual project's listed, the Imgen Parkway project. I don't know if Amelia or anyone else.
Well, my overall point is that there's a lot of big projects out here getting a little bit of money. And so I'm just wondering why so little for such a large project.
Mike Knitzler.
Yes, thank you. So the Davis Road Bridge project is listed, I believe it shows it's 71,000. That the thousands are thousands of dollars. So that's the total project cost.
So it's 7 million.
71 million.
Thank you. I missed your question, obviously.
Thank you.
Wait, I have one other question, and that is that in all these projects, it's hard for me to look at the list and know if any given project is regional or local considered by TAMC. So in the staff report, where is it indicated if the project is local or regional?
There's an attachment of the regionally significant projects, both constrained and unrestrained and constrained, and that's one of the attachments in the staff.
All right, thank you.
The regionally significant.
Thank you, Chair.
Right.
Just a question. So I appreciate the presentation, but when you had mentioned on the funding sources and then one comes back to the gas tax and what would replace that, will the document talk about the BMT in it? Will there be language regarding what possible replacements could be in there?
Yes.
Okay, I'm definitely would encourage that it state, I am not a fan of BMT. It is absolutely discriminatory against smaller communities that have to travel farther for work. But at least providing the option of looking at, if it's going to state BMTs, it should also state vehicle registration fees or other sources of new income. I'm very concerned that the conversation at the state level and a lot of our MPOs have always focused on BMT as the alternate, and I really do not want to see that as the only option when people read documents.
Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Jack.
Thank you for the presentation. I was just curious on, there was a slide with or chart depicting the sources of revenue. 80% looks to be state and local, 20% for federal. Does that change over time? Number one, and number two, what is the 2022 overall funds that TAMC got from all of these sources? Are we tracking 2022, we got say 70 million, 2024, we're expecting 100 million. Is there any way to track that within this document?
Mike, call Mike back up.
So the first question about does the categories of the different funds change over time? Yes, they do. It's small variations, but the percentages do change from one document to the next. In the as far as year to year, the full document does include a breakdown of what we expect the financial revenues to look like on a yearly basis. It's essentially just the total dollar amount for each fund source divided over the lifetime of the plan. So what we look at more specifically is in the outer years. I believe the target years are 2040, 2045, and 2050 for this cycle. So we look at do we expect projects to be completed in one of those three tiers rather than on an annual year-to-year basis. We use our integrated funding strategy as the more short-term look ahead for our funding expectations. And that is, like we said, updated annually. And so that is where we track more closely on a year-to-year basis what we're doing with each of the projects.
Understood. I think year over year would probably be a real hassle, but I think considering these are like really long-term projects, it would be helpful, I think, for the board to at least review this on a 5-year basis or some kind of like 4-year or 5-year timeline to see, are we actually making inroads into all of these grants put together over a period of time so that we can assess what needs to happen in 2055, for instance, whenever it comes to be.
So we do update the regional transportation plan every 4 years, but very good point to show a comparison from the last document to the next one, how the progress has been.
Thank you.
You have any questions? Bruce.
The Monterey branch line passenger rail is listed as 347 million. And it's unconstrained. And I got confused between constrained and unconstrained. So unconstrained, what does that mean?
It means that there is no funding identified at this time.
Okay, so with this list of unconstrained projects that are very large, there's about 8 of them. Is it to say that they're dead for the next 25 years or 24 years through 2050? Or is it to say something else?
I can't speak to the rail project specifically. I think it means that we do not have an idea of where that funding would come from within the 20-year lifespan of the plan. So something I think in the funding landscape would need to change in order to find funding for that.
All right, thank you.
And if there's anything
that question, so if something came up that would fund these projects, then what does it take to get moved off the unconstrained list to the constrained list?
There's 2 ways that can happen, and if a project has funding foreseeable, we'll take whatever action is needed to move forward with it. And we could do an amendment to this current plan within the next 4-year period, during the 4-year period that's available, or it gets incorporated into the next 4-year plan as a constrained project. So there's really nothing that will slow down a project based on what's in the plan here. It's just we're trying to represent what our expectations are for the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Or open it up to the public? All right, is there anybody in the public who would speak to this item? 827, I believe that's Brian. Brian and then Lorna. Brian.
I want to ask you to get an independent analysis about the cost. Other countries put up rail lines very quickly. I was reading about the one in Iran, the ones in Romania that are literally running off of logs. They're old steam trains, some of them. And I think, you know, there's a lot, they make a hell of a lot of money, these consultants, and they want to raise the prices and do it the most expensive way possible. So I would like to suggest you really need to work with the Train Riders Association of California. They have much knowledge. They helped get past Proposition 116 that made a big difference. They've made a big difference in rail projects throughout our state. So don't just give up on it. Mr. Mello tried to get funding every year, and now suddenly it's $354 million. I don't believe it for 1 minute. Thank you.
Go ahead, Lorna.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, so it seems like these projects are all to fund more highways, more convenience for the car, and less convenience for mass transit, which is so needed. MST needs to have a lot of money, or not even a lot, I don't know how much, to stop the, interruption of lines going from A to B. Like, for instance, Carmel Valley, now you have to get a transfer, and if you miss that bus that's a transfer, you have to wait an hour. And this is broken up all over the city. And also you need funding for the air boards so that they can start monitoring the magnetites that are destroying our brains from car pollution, and they do not have that ability right now. So there is no way to monitor the damage to all of us. And I really think that, these bloated consultant projects, and it's impossible to bring back the rail, and it's going to cost $340 million when the train people are saying it's $1 million a mile to fix the train tracks. And it's like, no matter what we talk about, no matter what we say, you're not going to do that. I can predict already you will not. You will just steamroll ahead what you want to do, which is to make it more convenient for people to be in their cars. And that's not your responsibility. And the truth of the matter is that you have made traffic worse during your tenure on this board. It's worse in Highway 68, and it's worse everywhere. And you are responsible, and you're taking money from the public. You get $100 every time you go to a meeting, $100 to maybe $50, depending. And you don't seem to be really pushing passionately for climate change and being heroes in that direction. So I urge you, please, and we're going to talk about this until something gets done, okay? Because we're in an urgent.
So thank you, Lauren. Okay, is there anybody else in public wishing to speak today? All right, we'll bring back the board for action and
Motion to approve.
a motion to a second. Motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Get a roll call vote, please.
And this is not actually an action item to approve. It's just any input that the board has at this time on the project list, and then we'll return in January.
I withdraw my second.
Bring it back to verification. All right. Roll call. Oh, are we done? It's
Just to receive input. I
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
Yeah. So item 6.
Okay. We need a roll call vote on this.
No.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Right, yeah. Yeah, so receive, number 6 is receive update. Notice of preparation and scoping period for the lateral lights mill station. Welcome, Melissa.
Hello, everyone. Okay, hello. Thank you, everyone. Alyssa Guter, Transportation Planner. Today, I will be providing an update on the Colorado Watsonville Multimodal Station Project, which is currently in scoping period. So in today's update, I'll be providing an overview of project, purpose and need, and scope. I'll give you some information about outreach we've been doing as part of the scoping period.
and some updates on the next steps, a general overview of the next steps project. So this slide shows a map, three options that we've identified through our work with the consultant for the station location. The project will expand the transportation options for the disadvantaged community of Pajaro, providing more access to jobs, healthcare, education, as well as reducing vehicle trips and emissions in the community and the region. So the train service that will be provided through the station includes Amtrak with Starlight and Caltrain through the Monterey County Rail Extension Project, as well as bus service via Monterey Salinas Transit and Santa Cruz Metro. We're also aiming to connect the station to the regional rail service that will be provided by Santa Cruz and eventually connect to Monterey, as well as the long distance rail that will go to the north to San Jose and beyond, as well as south to San Luis Obispo. So these are some of the amenities. Not included on this is also access to the rail trail system that Santa Cruz is building. So multimodal pedestrian and bicycle access to that trail system. So the scoping period started on November 1st, and we sent out digital and physical flyers, mailers to the community. We held a scoping meeting on November 20th, which I'll do the next one, but this event was held at a local community resource center called the Casa de la Cultura on November 15th. So this image is showing that. We have had a great discussion with the Pajaro Residents Committee that meets every week there, talking about station location options and station amenities, as well as receiving comments, which are recorded on surveys and comment cards. With the help of our team, we held the meeting both in Spanish and English. And so some of the other stakeholders that we reached out to include Santa Cruz County Regional Transportation Commission, City of Watsonville, the Monterey County Planning Department and Public Works, Santa Cruz Metro, Monterey Salinas Transit, as well as the aforementioned Casa de la Cultura Residents Group, which had also a range of agency stakeholders that attend regular meetings at that community resource center, specifically to address the Pajaro community and their concerns with with transportation, housing, and other development in the community. So on November 20th, we held our notice of preparation and scoping meeting. So we had over 80 attendees, which was a great turnout in the community. We held this at the Pajaro Middle School. We had our consultant team, as well as TAMC staff, available to answer questions and discuss the project alternatives. We presented the draft environmental document process and timeline, as well as let everyone know about future public input opportunities. The public was responsive and positive about the project. We had a lot of great feedback and discussions with the attendees at the meeting. So these are some of the environmental topics that we discussed at the meeting and that will be considered through the environmental impact review process. So some of things that of concern to residents include land use and planning, some of air quality, definitely environmental justice concerns. Slide. Public services, population, housing, transportation services, recreation. These are some of the things we heard. We got great feedback on identifying the station location. Some of the residents expressed some concern about how the location might impact their homes that are near the station. Feedback about safety, traffic, quality of roads around the station, sidewalks, as well as drainage and lighting. So we'll be working with county to address some of these concerns as well in their ongoing efforts to do improvements on the G12 corridor.
So so yeah, these comments were both reported at the meeting and then through comment cards and also comments on our website. This is project overview. Right now, we're in the scoping period, which is just wrapping up this week. Our next milestone is to have a draft EIR in fall of 2025. And that will also include another public input opportunity, a public hearing for the community to comment with our final EIR to be completed in early 2026 and a decision to be made about moving the project forward after that final EIR has been approved. We then will move into final design in 2027 and a estimate for construction to begin in 2029. And yeah, of note is that we do have funding secured from the SD 125 TIRSA program for design for this project. And that wraps up my update.
Melissa, thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions on this time, Bruce?
After construction begins, when is it planned to be finished? So it starts at 29 and then does it take 2 years?
Yes, so initial, so we have 2 phases of construction. There's initial and then vision. So initial is kind of the less expansive version. And this is put it in the network integration study. It's available on our website, but so about 2 years for construction of that initial service, and then probably another 2 years once you have funding for the vision service.
So service would operate starting 31?
Beginning, yeah, 2031 or 2, depending on how quickly the pre-construction process goes.
Okay, and the last thing you said was you have funding through the engineering phase. So what does it take to get funding for construction?
Yeah, we'll be aggressively pursuing the construction funds. The TIRSA program is a good fund source for construction of these types of projects. And we're also coordinating with Caltrans through the Corridor ID program so that we'll be able to be hopefully eligible for future federal funding.
So is TAMC fairly confident that this project and other projects, but right now, just this project will just keep moving along and funding will come?
Yeah, I think we have great support from Caltrans for the funding of this project, especially through that new Corridor ID project that I mentioned that's in coordination with the Federal Railroad Administration. And we're working closely with Caltrans to continue to include this project in their scope for that Corridor ID program, as well as, yeah, having the environmental impact report to go, the CEQA document that will provide opportunities for future funding.
Okay, my last question is maybe for Todd. I thought that this station was part of the 3-phase original Monterey branch line project. And so I'm wondering if the completion of this reduces the price that would otherwise have to be paid for that 3-phase Monterey branch line.
I believe the price of this was separate from what we discussed with the Monterey branch line, but it certainly would contribute towards that project when it became viable. So it would be a stop that connects with the Monterey branch line when that in the future. The scenario that's the vision's scenario, which is outside of our funding expectations, is around the bay between the Monterey Peninsula and Santa Cruz, and the stop would be the Monterey branch line goes to Cashville. So there'd be a station there, and then Pajaro, which is where the Santa Cruz branch line connects. So why we're doing this station first is it has that Santa Cruz connection, serves the community of Pajaro, and the existing rail service that we have right now, the Coast Starlight, can stop there. So it can be used as soon as its construction is completed. And we're working towards bringing additional rail service with the Salinas Rail extension down, which would have a stop in Pajaro as well. So when that extension of Caltrain happens with the Salinas Rail extension, it would stop in Pajaro and then stop in Salinas at the earlier stages.
Thank you.
Look.
Thanks again for the presentation, Alyssa. Regarding
Supervisor Lopez brought up, when we brought this up real policy, the picture he talked about. Have we found, are we able to secure the use of that picture yet?
So the picture referencing is of the women railroad workers who were working on Pajaro, I think in the 1940s. So I do believe we have permission to use that photo. I think it's, something we can try to incorporate into the outreach at this stage, potentially. I did speak with a resident who said, I think it was her grandmother. She was actually one of those women, which is great to hear. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And I think, yeah, if we can incorporate it into the station sign in any way, that would be something I think we'll.
And additionally to our presentations, even for here, as it is a reestablishment of what used to be there from a long time ago, and just connecting that here, the period piece from back then to now would be a nice, like even in this presentation, that quick picture, I think would be very helpful. And just consistently moving that forward.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions for us?
Just a quick question. Thank you for the presentation. Are we, like with respect to the stakeholders, are we involving the local employers?
Local employers in Pajaro?
Yes.
So we, so the outreach I mentioned to the residents group, there's another committee that's Pajaro Business Group. So we have presented to, there's the Pajaro Long-Term Disaster Recovery Alliance. So that group includes members who advocate for the Pajaro land use, business group, residents. And so I have given multiple presentations to them. So that, the business group is aware of the project and has received opportunities for input, and we'll definitely consider future outreach to that.
Okay, and so I'm actually excited this is happening in Pajaro. It's really needed. Does Pajaro have a chamber of commerce or something that we can take advantage of? And just on a side note, I think the Pajaro Community Hospital would be a good kind of organization to reach out to, because I see a lot of folks coming to the hospital from several areas. And I think it'll be good to get their input on what is driving and who's coming in, et cetera. Similarly, the other employers too. But if there's a chamber, I suggest one of those, and you don't have to get into detail, but I'm just suggesting. Thank you.
Yeah, I would definitely look into the Pajaro Community Hospital. Another thing to note is the communities of Pajaro and Watsonville are very linked. And a lot of residents of Pajaro, have a lot of services in Watsonville. So there's also outreach that we've been doing, we'll continue to do in Watsonville, especially the area of Watsonville that's right adjacent to Pajaro.
Any other questions or comments? Anybody in the public wishing to speak to this item today?
Is this a comment period?
Yes.
I would.
So please. Over here? Yes.
Hi, good morning, directors. My name is Juan Barbosa, and I'm a field representative for Carpenters Local 646 out of Marina. We have hundreds of members in both Monterey and Santa Cruz counties. The project is going to be right in the middle of both counties, so it will benefit all of our members, right? So I'm here today to show my support for the future Pajaro Watsonville multimodal station, and to address a key element that I believe is missing from the, I haven't really looked at all the details for the plan, but the project would benefit from things such as area standards for construction workers. As we look forward towards building this project, it's crucial to consider not just our infrastructure, but also the people who will be building it. Part of responsible planning is determining who will develop these projects and under what conditions. Area standards should include labor, wages, healthcare, apprenticeship programs, and local hiring requirements. These are not just details. They are fundamental to ensuring that the benefits of the Pajaro Watsonville section of the Monterey County Rail Extension Project extends to our community members. Establishing fair labor wages and providing healthcare means that our construction workers many of whom are local residents can afford to live and thrive in our community. And by the way, you know, a lot of these construction workers travel over, you know, over to the South Bay Area and farther a lot of times. So many of these, so a lot of our local residents can afford to live and thrive in our community. Apprenticeship programs will help to train the next generation of skilled workers, and local hiring ensures that the economic benefits of development stay in Pájaro, Watsonville, and the Monterey Bay. Without these standards, we risk losing our residents and workers to more affordable areas, and we miss out on an opportunity to create sustainable and meaningful employment for our citizens. Many of us want alternative modes of transportation, but we should also strive for a community where workers are respected, fairly compensated, and have access to opportunities that allow them to grow and succeed locally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony and consideration. If anybody else wishes to speak this item today? Since receipt of report only, I'll go ahead and just comment briefly. My wife is a member of the Watsonville community. There's a great deal of excitement in Watsonville about this project. I'm sorry that Supervisor Church and Vallejo are not here today, because they are very big proponents of this project. But I'm glad to hear that the Watsonville community is included also in these discussions. Thank you. Alrighty, that'll conclude our major portion of work to go ahead and receive reports from the agencies providers. So let's go to Caltrans. Caltrans.
Good morning, everyone. I have a couple of updates. One is the Highway 1 Rocky Creek. A full 24-hour closure of Highway 1 at Rocky Creek is starting Friday, December 13th at 10 p.m. till Saturday, 14th at 10 p.m. So construction team can install girders for the viaduct. The existing travel lane is needed to allow for construction. The schedule of this 24-hour closure is weather dependent. In the weeks of days leading up to the girder installation, updates will be provided to confirm or announce any changes to the schedule. On the Rocks Road and eucalyptus tree removal, I have an update that the project started Sunday, November 3rd, with night shifts for tree removal cutting, followed by day shifts starting on Monday, November 4th, to grind trees and dispose of branches. Work was halted last week due to the weather and the holiday weekend, but work commenced again on Monday, December 2nd. Most southbound shoulder trees have been removed. 50% of the median trees have been removed, and around 30% of the northbound shoulder trees have been removed as well. I have an update on the adaptive signalization pilot program. The update for that one is that the design of the adaptive traffic signal control across 9 intersections on Route 68. San Bernardino to Olmsted is expected to be finalized December 20th. Structural attachment approvals from Caltrans Division of Engineering Services will follow, addressing the age of the non-standard attachments on existing poles. Approval is anticipated sometime in March for that. Recent evaluations show that current infrastructure cannot support rhythm firmware without upgrades, but can accommodate mile vision firmware with minor modifications. So Traffic Ops in District 5 received approval to install mile vision firmware at the 9 intersections. And Caltrans is revising estimates for support costs related to design, installation, operation, and testing, which will be incorporated into the co-op agreement with TAMC. Also, the system installation is estimated to take 8 to 10 months after the agreement is executed. So those are the updates that I have. And I did listen to the comments that we received from the public. So we will make an effort to be giving you updates on a monthly basis.
Thank you, much appreciated. Is there anything else?
That is it.
Any questions to Caltrans by directors? Thank you, appreciate the update. You want to move on to the airport district, Carl Miller? Richard Miller? Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, nothing new to report. I'm sorry.
Nothing to be sorry for.
Okay.
All right. Move on to the MSD. Lisa, I'm glad that you're in charge.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, to Director Potter, congratulations on your retirement. Best of luck and thank you for your service. I'm sure we'll see you around. On to the next topic. Every so often, MST changes its routes or adds service. And on Saturday, we are adding service due to some overcrowding issues on the line 23. This is the one that goes from Salinas to the South County cities and to King City. We're also on January 2nd, changing over some MST on-call point-to-point services in Soledad and Gonzales and transitioning them into a fixed route circulator in those cities. We think that'll provide better service to the communities there. And we actually have a new route coming in January 6th from downtown Salinas to Rancho Cielo. So that'll give the students of Rancho Cielo direct access to their schooling. The other thing I wanted to report is that MST, in partnership with Visa, from November 14th to the end of this month, is doing a tap to give in collaboration with Monterey County Gives. So for every tap that a passenger uses their Visa card, we'll give $1 to Monterey County Gives. It's a great partnership and we're happy to give back to the community. And then finally, I just wanted to wish everyone happy holidays. And if I don't see you, I hope it's fun with your families, etc. And that's it. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Lisa. Any questions, Lisa? Anybody? Thank you, Lisa. Much appreciated. Well, happy holidays to you too. Okay, we'll move on then to Monterey Board of Resources District. Richard, are you there? I don't see anybody from the air district. All right, so I will close our comments and we'll go to the reports of any needs attended by board members, to expense. Anybody wishing to report anything? Like
Attended the Coast Rail Coordinating Council in Monterey.
November 8th, I believe. It's November 8th.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I was there.
No, it's we go by the way.
Yeah, we were both there. All righty. Anybody else with anything to report? All right, Executive Director's report.
Thank you. I'd like to start by asking Matt Sheehan to stand up, please. Matt joined the agency this week. So he's our new accounting associate, and he is joining us. He's wrapping up his schooling at MPC, and he'll be going on to work remotely towards his accounting bachelor's degree. So we're lucky to have him with the agency while he's doing that. So welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome to Don't Screw Up.
Thank you, Matt. Also, this Friday is the last day to submit a nomination for the TAMC Excellence Awards. So if you have any ideas for projects or individuals to recognize from this past year, please submit it by Friday. Next month, January 15th, will be the Toro Park Traffic Calming Workshop at San Bernardino Middle School. It will be the last of the series of workshops that Doug's been holding, working with the community on the cut-through traffic issue, where they'll be wrapping up the discussion and making recommendations both to the TAMC board and then ultimately to the Board of Supervisors. And with that, I just wanted to wrap up that this is our last meeting for TAMC for the month. So our next meeting is January. So I wish everyone happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck. Same to you. All righty, so now let's go into closed session on public employee performance evaluation pursuant to government code section 54957, position of executive director and agency council. Is there anybody in the public who should speak to this item? Alrighty. Anybody in the room wishing to speak to this meeting? Okay, we'll go to closed session. We'll report out if any action is taken.
There's nothing to report out. The matter will be continued to the next available meeting.
Thank you very much. Stand adjourned. Well done, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you.